We are asked to graph quadratic equations. These equations have a variable in them with a power of 2 such as x squared. The graph is curved like a cup, and we call it a parabola. If it curves upward, it's called a positive graph. If it curves downward, it's called a negative graph. Just like with linear graphing, we're going to take the numbers here for x and substitute them into the equation or function here. This means negative 2 times negative 2 would be a 4 plus 1 equals 5. And this makes the point negative 2, 5, which we will graph. Now substitute negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1, plus 1 is 2. And 0 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. Next is 1 times 1 is 1, plus 1 is 2. And then 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. These are the remaining ordered pairs made by this function. Notice the symmetrical nature of the y values. That will help us in graphing this. We will begin by graphing this point, which is called the vertex. Here's the point negative or 0, negative 1 right here. This is the point 1, 2, and adjacent to it is the point negative 1, 2. This is the point 2, 5, and adjacent to this is the point negative 2, 5. Now we're going to sketch a line through these points. Try to make this one continuous curve, and it just barely rounds out down here. This point is called the minimum because it's the smallest amount of y value in any point on the graph. In this case, it's also called the y-intercept because this is where the graph crosses the y-axis. This will not be true in every case, as we will see. This graph makes a smiley face because it is a positive x squared graph. And positive graphs make upward shaped U's or parabolas that are smiling. So this is a positive and happy guy. And we should notice what is called the line of symmetry here, because right down the middle we could split this, and the difference of the points is exactly the same. Those are 1 from the y-axis, and these are both 2. And you will always be the same distance from the line of symmetry when you draw your points. Now go to the bottom of the page. We'll fill this one out together. This time we're going to substitute negative 1 for x here and for x here. So this means that negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1, but it becomes negative when this gets involved. So this ends up being a negative 1 plus, this is a negative 2, so we now have negative 3, adding 3, and we get y of 0. Therefore, our ordered pair at this point is a negative 1, 0. Now I'll show you how to build the chart rapidly. They all have a negative sign and a parenthesis squared waiting for the variable, and a plus 2 with parentheses waiting for the variable, and lastly we add 3. So now we add the variable to this one, and we do the math, and this ends up as a 3, so the point is 0, 3. Add the variable to this one, and this comes out to a 4, so this is the point 1, 4. We add the variable here, and this comes out to a 3, which gives us the point 2, 3. And we add the variable here, and we get a result of 0. And this gives us the point 3, 0. Let's graph this one, beginning at the vertex, which is 1, comma 4. This is the point 2, comma 3, and adjacent to it will be the point 0, comma 3. Notice they are symmetrical from the midline, or the line of symmetry. Here is 3, comma 0, and negative 1, comma 0. And these points are equally distant from the line of symmetry, or the midline. And then draw your line and curve it through the points. And give this guy an unhappy or negative picture of a face, because he has a negative x squared in his formula. So he's a frowning, scowling, negative guy. Remember, this is a cup facing downward or negative. And now it's your turn to do this one. First, set up your parentheses for your variables. Subtract 1 from each. Set your variables in the parentheses and do the math. The result of your math should be y values of 3, 0, negative 1, 0, and 3. And you should get an ordered pair set such as this. Remember to begin your graph at the vertex, which is right here. The points 1, comma 0 and negative 1, comma 0 are here. And the points 2, comma 3 and negative 2, comma 3 are here. This is a positive happy face because it is a positive x squared graph and it has a minus 1. Here is one more for you to do. First, set up your parentheses squared minus x plus 1. Then put in your variables, negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. And here is the result that you can graph. And here are the completed points to transfer to the graph. In this case, the vertex is between these 2 points. So we'll begin the graph with these 2 points. This is the point 1, comma 1, and its symmetrical point is 0, comma 1. This is the point 1, comma 3, and its symmetrical point is negative 1, comma 3. This is the point negative 2, 7, and since we know this is a symmetrical structure, we can make the assumption that the point 3, comma 7 is symmetrical to negative 2, comma 7. And then we connect the dots, rounding at the bottom of the vertex and going upward. And so the graph x squared minus x plus 1 is a smiley face because it's a positive x squared happy guy.